Well, I would say that finish was entirely unpredictable, Kelly. Kevin Owens in Toronto trying to wrest the WWE title from CM Punk, ending his fraudulent reign that only exists because of Randy Orton, as far as we know. And it is now fraudulent again, as it only exists, as far as we know, because of Sami Zayn. And not that Punk wants it to be this way. Although in Toronto, I think he took a little joy. The CM Punk character did.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Sami Zayn, again, not unpredictably getting involved in this match, given his history with KO, how he feels about the world title. They go almost 20 minutes, crowds popping, big time for near falls and big spots, siding with KO. Punk taking great glee in the hostility of the crowd towards him. Tell me what you thought of tonight's main event.
It's funny. These guys have fought each other so many times that it would be tempting to say they can't do it again. I mean, this felt over 5 feuds ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's happening, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for this again. I'm down with this. The chat has been lively with talking about how we needed a clean finish and this is an upsetting finish. And it, I guess, but I would calibrate my mind to say there was no chance of a clean finish in this one this match on free TV. And if Kevin had lost clean, that would have been a real problem for what he was doing. So I remain excited for it, not just because of this scene, but because of scenes throughout the night that really, I thought tonight's episode did a great job of showing why everybody wants the championship.
Yep.
The championship itself may have been the main character tonight, and the one thing that was elevated more than anything else. I am fighting, by the way, to not just talk about Hiromu Takahashi.
Yep. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, we got something to talk about with Kelly for sure after the 8 o'clock. But don't do it yet. That's the hook.
So, yes, I dug. I mean, the match. Too bad that it ended that way, but it's not over, and we'll probably get a triple threat, which isn't my favorite thing, but we probably will get that and other pieces. And there are just so many different matchups to be excited about. SmackDown is on a little bit of fire right now, like it's smoldering.
So, as far as the finish goes, and we'll put up some of the chat comments in a bit from people upset. Have you watched WWE before, people? This is a world title match on free TV, as much as that matters anymore. But they're still in that construct of free TV versus paying $50 for a pay-per-view. And when you pay $50, you're supposed to get a clean finish. But on free TV, come on, you can't expect it. So I'm not endorsing that as a policy, but it is structurally what they do. And that's why I say this wasn't an unforeseeable event. Second of all, what do you want the clean finish to be? Because I have news for you. If Paul Levesque had to book a clean finish in this match, he's not going to give you this match. It's that simple. They're not going to book this match if you are going to insist on a clean finish. I'm turning these, the people in the chat into villains here. I don't mean to, but I'm just being blunt. If you want a clean finish between Kevin Owens and CM Punk, two baby faces, but you got KO with a hometown crowd, they're trying to pop a rating and use it as kind of a transition into something else. You're not getting this match if you are requiring Kevin Owens to end CM Punk's reign before they are ready to end his reign because they have a story arc they're telling, or CM Punk proving he's better than Kevin Owens in Toronto. The best you were going to get was a tainted win by Punk, but instead they didn't even do that. Well, they did. They did that, but it wasn't like, I'm trying to think how to portray this. They could have done a double. They could have done a double DQ. They could have had something tainted but subtle, and instead they did it in such a obviously heavy-handed way that in Toronto, Kevin Owens didn't really lose. Is kind of my point. It was just. Sammy betrayed him because Kevin Owens took a stand that fans should be proud of, and he paid a price for it. But then both Punk and KO get smashed afterwards, so the heat's not as much on Punk at the end because they want to keep him babyface. The heat's all on Sammy. I get why they did it, but I am going to circle back and say, Kelly, you have to understand, this match would not have happened. It would not have been booked if the only thing they were willing to do was a clean finish. Because the way WWE books, they're not going to do either finish in Toronto right now.
Right, and I understand that other guys in the chat are saying the problem isn't tonight's interference. The problem is that interference is happening every night. And
Completely agree. Yes, absolutely.
But this one, it's a necessary evil. But when WWE is the boy who cried DQ, or whatever they are, and then not that it was a DQ, but unclean finish, then when it happens, then it's going to be a problem.
Yep. So I don't want to take away, as you say, Kelly, this larger frustration about a lack of clean finishes, and you can make a case WWE should go to a clean finish philosophy if they want to turn business around, restore faith in the idea that there's consequences to cheating, there's consequences to interference, there's authority figures with competence and power that hold cheaters accountable, and when the bell rings, you're going to get an outcome. They could do that, and it might be good for business, but it is a complete overhaul of what they do. It's like walking into a 7-Eleven and expecting a $150 steak, like waiting for, it's like, that's not even the business they're in. Like you can get a bottle of coffee or a can of Coke, but or a Slurpee, but you're not getting a $150 steak. Like that's not the business they're in. So we can, in a macro philosophical sense, we can argue against it, but tonight this fits what they do. And so we'll have some calls because Sean Plichta and Darrell are waiting, and they've both expressed frustration with this finish. So we can get the conversation from them. Let's talk besides the finish for a second about the story, the what they did before the match, Kelly, to build this up. Last week I thought it was like super compelling to watch, but I also felt like you're talking about like basketball shorts and t-shirts and 20 years ago, grudges that they had when they were working in front of between 150 and 550 people decades ago. It's like talking in 1984 about something in 1964 and expecting fans in 1984 to care. I mean, that's a big ask. And I thought they spent a lot of time on that, which was great for us, but I don't know if it was the best way to sell the match to the masses, given the percentage of focus they put on that. But there was other content here. And so I would say tonight they did a good job following up on it. I like PWTorch saying this is 20 years in the making. It's pent up aggression. And so the details didn't matter anymore as much as, they covered the details last week, but it was these two hate each other. But it wasn't some fourth wall breaking meta thing. It was just, no, these two really don't like each other. And they've never wrestled one-on-one. And now they're going to. And it's in Toronto. There's a hometown advantage. I mean, you're setting the stage for the type of heat, that peak fan experience type heat, where you got the hometown against the away wrestler, which Punk played into without violating who he normally is, which I would say Seth Rollins did at Sunday Night's Main Event at MSG. That was sort of an isolated world that wasn't part of canon the following week. This fit canon enough with Punk, where he goes, I like being, the bad guy in the away arena, and I relish it, and that fits his character. So I thought between PWTorch setting a stage and the video package, the body the pre-match interviews, which we don't always get, Kelly, building up to a TV main event. We heard from both guys, as we should. They're great talkers. I like the content. I like the build, and I thought, even though I liked last week's segment as a viewer, but I thought there were some issues with what they dwelled on a little bit. But I thought it all came together tonight, and I thought they got the most out of it. So tell me what you thought of the build, and if you're with me or not with me on some of the things I pointed out there.
I didn't think about the fact that not everybody is 48 or older and remember all these things. I was like, what's the problem?
I feel like it's my job to remind people who love these segments, it's not always you're not the only person watching.
Right.
Your demo. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah. So it was, so that all worked on me. The history I had, even only seeing those guys, I knew probably who Kevin and Punk were, possibly because of you, because I was reading the Torch long before I ever met you. So these were names I knew were important and things like that. And once I was able to find ways to take in their content, I was watching it. But yeah, one main reason this works and is a natural feud, and it's so strange they've never gone to it, is that both guys sound like they're shooting even when they're working. They're both very, very good at saying things that have people saying, was that over the line? Will he be mad at him backstage for that? I thought both of them nailed that. Punk does that every week, but KO reminded us that that he's really good at that game too. Talking about Punk in the old days and probably greatly embellishing a story, maybe embellishing a story, but at any rate, using the history and possibly saying to Punk, "Hey, I'm going to use this, and it's going to work because it's real." But I liked the build for this. I will say, after Sammy woke up Dan Engler and rolled him in, they had me. I thought maybe there was going to be 3, and it was the longest 2 you'll just about ever see. They had me, and if it hadn't been built as well as it was, I would not have bought in.
You mentioned fans were wondering, did they cross the line? And I think there's sort of this weird default position that's a good thing to have fans think, wait, was that real? Because it all of a sudden makes everything else seem fake. It's like Grayson Waller a few weeks ago, I'm going to break the fourth wall. And that was my issue the night of and the next day with the CM Punk Pipe Bomb promo. What value is there really with the masses to draw attention to something that might be crossing a line if you go outside of the demographic that's thinking about that type of thing when they watch the show? And I would say that's something I just want to steer our demographic, so to speak, who grew up with the novelty of someone breaking a fourth wall. Hey, Brian Pillman saying Booker Man to Kevin Sullivan. That was like, what? And here we are, like almost 30 years later, roughly, still doing this like it's a exciting thing for us. It's just, I know in the business, they think it's the new work and that we're marks all over again. Kevin Owens and Punk might like each other, they might not, but what they say on TV that feels like crossing a line is never not part of approved storyline, even if Punk or KO get a little uncomfortable with some of the things that they were all authorized to say. And so I just want to point out, when you think, oh, I'm getting something special because now it's not fake and maybe someone's really mad, you're now the same mark that promoters and wrestlers made fun of and looked down upon in 1973 when they were in a more protected business. And I don't know that there's value in that when all it does is draw a contrast. Everything else on the show that then by comparison, now you're drawing attention to it being fake. So I think I'm pretty clear on this. I talk about it all the time, but I'm not for anything straying to a zone where people are wondering, I wonder if that was real. Because I do feel that's people who are going and backstage who are going on Twitter afterwards going, oh, I hope we fooled this subset of a subset of a subset who know the difference between a work storyline and something that might really get under each other's skin. I'd rather just watch and go, they're getting under each other's skin. But that should be the case every week, right? Like, everybody should be trying to get under everybody's skin, regardless of whether it matches reality or not.
And we've talked about this quite a bit, and we're full on in agreement with it. I thought tonight was a different beast, where I didn't think it felt meta. I just thought it was a really, really good use of history to history that felt real. So I wouldn't like this purely if I thought, hey, I think that's real. I mean, that wouldn't be enough. Mm-hmm. But the fact that I could easily believe this shared history between them, whether there's 0 to 98% truth in it, that's why this all worked for me.
And that's I think it's a really good distinction, because I said this for many, many years. If the truth happens to be the best story to tell, then tell that story on TV. Tell the truth. But if it's not the best story to tell, don't grade it on a curve. Don't give it a golf handicap. Well, we'll use an inferior storyline, but we're giving it an extra 12 points because it's real. And so we're going to have that be what we put on TV. If it alienates or leaves, 70% of the audience bewildered or not invested. But that's why I wanted to say, I thought they did a great job. Tessitore at the beginning of the show, KO and Punk with the promos, the video package, the setting the scene and the ring introductions. It's going full circle back to what you said, Kelly. You don't need to know or care about what happened 20 years ago. You just got a sense in the immersive canon storyline world they created that these two do not like each other at an extra level. And the commentary really laid that in. Wade Barrett saying everything Kevin Owens is doing is 110% of normal. Tesstor saying he's releasing 20 years of pent-up pressure. They made it seem like these two were really going to go at it. And that makes sense. I mean, interdivision rivals in all sports play each other a little harder than when you play someone in the other conference from across the country that you only see once a year. And so, or, twice a year, whatever. So I thought that they did take something that from 20 years ago that last week I felt got a little in the minutia, and it's like both of them kind of looked a little petty, bickering about something from that long ago. But I thought they actually framed it really effectively tonight.
Yeah, this is everything I would have wanted in the beginning of a KO comeback, other than the fact that he lost like his 25th championship match in a row, which he's great at putting those champions over, but he hasn't held a singles championship of any kind in a very, very long time. And in the ring, he's always known how to wrestle safe. Maybe not always, but I think for a long time he's known how to wrestle safe and has done it very, very well, very effectively most of the time. But I felt, I don't know, maybe it was just me worrying for him because I knew what has happened to him in the past. So there was some of that, but yeah, this whole thing worked for me. I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm fearful that it goes to another triple threat. I cover NXT, and man, they never met a triple threat they didn't like. They just run all the time. Triple threats, four ways, just constantly.
And we're going to end up, if we do a triple threat, with heel Sammy and two baby faces in KO and Punk. Now, the two baby faces don't like each other, so it disqualifies we're going to work together against the heel. But it does have the awkward dynamic of the heel having a disadvantage of facing kind of a disadvantage in facing two baby faces where the odds seem against him. And I'm curious how they handle that. But like I said, the fact that KO and Punk are not going to reconcile, this is not going to be let me get this right. Why can't I say
enemy of my enemy is my friend?
I was overthinking it. The enemy of my enemy is friend. I don't think we're going to have Punk or KO go, "You're my friend because we share a common enemy." Like, I don't think we're going to get that here. So I think they can make it work. I think we're getting a triple threat. I would say this is a situation where storyline wise it makes sense to do it. It doesn't feel like they're just wedging someone in because one-on-one is weak. The downside is how could Sammy possibly deserve anything but a suspension?
Yeah, all the things that he did, and I guess that's the work they got to do between now and 7 nights from now is figure out why that assault was not worthy of a suspension. So
I wish it felt like WWE like creative thought of that. I mean, maybe they will show they have thought of that, but I think whatever promises have been made to Sammy are ended. They become irrelevant tonight. You interfere. It's like Randy Orton and the whole thing at SummerSlam. Like, you interfered in a world title match. The whole point of everything, the whole point of anything that we're doing, at the very top of why we do what we do, is finding out who the best wrestler is in a one-on-one world title match. That's why we're all here. We're not here to entertain people. I mean, in the world they create, their job isn't to entertain people. It's to win world titles. The job of the promotional structure is to set up a ring and a referee and rules and enforcement so we can find out who the best wrestler is. So when everyone just is okay with a third person interfering in it, I mean, why are we all here? And then it just becomes, well, we're here to tell stories and entertain and do cinema. But that's not, you don't want to watch a movie going, they've made a movie for me. You want to watch a movie going, I'm immersed in this world and I bought in and I've escaped into this other land for 2 hours. And WWE just is losing their way on that. So I worry about that being baked into their booking philosophy now. And I think they kind of need to be kind of shaken out of it a little bit and go, wait, yeah, you're right. We kind of should recalibrate making sure we explain this. Otherwise, inherently, it just diminishes the value of a title match if we just act like, well, it's, someone interferes sometimes. No big deal. We'll reward them with the title match.
And I know they've gone to the well before of that authority figure trying to suspend them, and then the other guys in question saying, no, I want to beat his ass instead. I guess that's an easy a way out as there is. I don't know what the other answer is, given what he did in kayfabe.
There's some good posts. Some of them are from people who are on hold who want to be callers. So I'm not going to read posts until we talk to our callers. But keep going. If you got a super chat, you'll get priority. But I will put some of them up on the screen about this topic. Certainly, there's other things from SmackDown tonight worth commenting on. But the dominant thing, of course, is the last half hour of the show, the title match, the build to the title match, and the fallout. But let's pause and introduce ourselves briefly here first. This is a Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post show for Friday, August 21st, 2026. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch Weekly newsletter and the website PWTorch.com, and the host of various podcasts, including the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast, the Blue Logo Show, which this week featured Zach Haydorn. If you haven't listened to that yet, I encourage you to do so. Just search Wade Keller in your podcast app and subscribe. We talked a lot of AEW, a lot of WWE, answered some email questions. VIP members got a VIP exclusive after show as a bonus at the end. And when you search Wade Keller, you'll also see the red logo show pop up, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post show. That's what we're doing right now, live streaming on YouTube, and then we distribute it as an audio-only podcast afterwards. Hello to everybody on the podcast side of things. You are invited, by the way, to join us, if you're listening to us on the podcast side of things on delay, live on YouTube, if you want to be part of the live chat and just catch our show right after Raw, Dynamite, or SmackDown concludes. Also, we have an NXT post show every Tuesday night, and my guest co-host tonight, Kelly Wells, is most often on that show also. Kelly, welcome to the SmackDown co-host chair. Good to be on tonight.
Yeah, fun episode. It feels like I'm catching SmackDown at the right time here to be here talking about it, because a couple of inspiring weeks in a row that keep me excited for where we're headed. Yeah, I cover NXT. I cover New Japan. In the last month, I've watched 150 matches in New Japan, and probably about 150 multi-person matches in NXT in that time. But they just finished their G1 climax, probably the best in, almost a decade. And the last match truly was maybe my favorite match I've ever watched, and I've been watching wrestling since 1989. So
I recorded
a week to think about it. I'm still thinking it.
I recorded everything with Rich and Wade right before SmackDown. We haven't posted it yet, but Rich was like, "Man, Kelly was enthusiastic about that G1. Like, you gotta. It's a VIP roundtable. Sean Radican, Rich Fan, and Kelly Wells. Earlier this week, we posted their roundtable review of the G1 semifinals and finals, and really an overview of the whole tournament and a look ahead. And Kelly's enthusiasm for that should be enough to get you to seek out that match.
There you go.
I'm hesitant to ask a follow up because I feel like we'll be here 10 minutes later. You'll still be gushing. Kelly, but yeah, VIP members, check out that round table. Sean Radican, by the way, wrote a cover story on the G1 tournament in this week's Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter. Sean does a great job with his writing, and it's a 2-page overview of the whole tournament. And I just think a really good piece. Again, VIP members, we posted that on the VIP website. It got mailed out this week on the Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter for paper copy subscribers. Whether you're a New Japan fan or not, appreciate what Sean just did. He just did a fantastic job doing a 2-page cover story overview of it. It's a good way if you watched it, and a good way to catch up if you didn't. PWTorch VIPinfo.com is how you become a VIP member. So many perks, so many benefits, archives, and new content on a regular basis. The aforementioned G1 coverage. Also in this week's newsletter and on the VIP website, Greg Parks' full-page column on the G1 tournament with his top takeaways also. So lots of New Japan G1 coverage. Everything I just mentioned is exclusive for VIP members. So PWTorch VIPinfo.com is how to get it. But going full circle back, check out the NXT post show on our live YouTube channel and on the PWTorch Daily Cast feed every week, also for NXT coverage, where you can see many multi-person matches, according to Kelly.
If you want to hear the negative version of me, watch this week's show. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I got into my little ranties. Yeah.
Well, NXT can do that for me too, more often than I wish. To subscribe to the PWTorch Daily Cast, by the way, search PWTorch in your podcast app. A different show each day of the week, different themes, different co-hosts, different focus. There's shows on dedicated AEW, TNA, NXT, the indie scene, the 90s past cast, worse or better. Plus our Wrestling Night in America live post shows after PLEs and pay-per-views. All right. So I mentioned we had callers. Let's get to them here. And we'll start with Sean Plichta. Plikta. Sean, welcome. Good to see you. You said you weren't going to be around much, so that we might not be hearing from you for a while, but yet here you are, and it's good to hear from you. How's it going?
It's good. Wait, it has been a few weeks. I've been just went on vacation and did some other stuff with family, so
All right.
I had to.
Time
So I got
flies.
back. Well, it's funny. I got back Wednesday night, and I was like, I want to watch Dynamite live, but I had so much to catch up on. I hadn't caught up on SmackDown or Raw from
Oh
this
wow.
week, so I was like, I need to go back and watch everything to kind of catch up. And but Kelly, I want to say I love your love for wrestling, man. It's so good you get to you see everything, and I wish I could watch everything too. I don't have time. I wish I
It's
could.
too much wrestling. We
It
can't.
is.
None of us can watch it all.
No,
Yeah.
it's just too much. But it's good to talk to you, man, as always. No,
Sean, do you like when I
Yes.
interrupt you for this reason?
Let's go to Tennessee. We're talking to Sean. Let's go to Tennessee. We're talking to Sean. Talking to Sean. Talking to Sean.
Whole version this week.
just it hits my heart, Wade. It just
All right.
hits my heart, and it drives Adam probably crazy. So that's even better. If it drives Adam crazy, I love it. Just bring it on. I thank you for that. Thank you for that
Yes.
very much.
You're welcome.
So I want to go by saying real quick. I want to say I did really like the show tonight. As a whole, I liked the show. My rant, Wade, and I'm gonna get on you a little bit. The argument for WWE is okay. Well, they just they're not gonna give him a clean finish, and just I know you're not saying be okay with it, and I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it at all. This was a time where it's like you go into the match, you build again very well to the entire match. You've got the preview of what they said last week, the last few weeks, how much they so-called hate each other, which they probably do. I think they actually do to a certain degree. I think there's a lot of hidden dislike there, especially on KO side, and they've talked about that, and they have built that up. I want them to finally, I don't care if it's on TV. If you're going to build to this match for all night long and you're going to get people excited about this match in future matches, which I'm going to say after this mini rant, give me something clean, something definitive. You can do it. It's okay, WWE. If you want to go with Punk, that's fine. I think KO could lose and be okay if you're telling the right story. I think it can work.
How do you justify getting to the match they want to get to? Now we can say don't go to that match, but if they want to do Sammy, KO, and Punk, and they don't want to just do a one and done with KO, and if Kevin Owens loses clean to Punk tonight, back of the line, buddy. So what? Like I'm just saying. If you walk into a 7-Eleven and you want a Slurpee, good job. You got a Slurpee. If you walk in there, you want a $150 steak dinner, what are you thinking? This is WWE. If they do a clean finish, KO's out of the picture. They have to basically erase all their booking going forward for the next month or two if you do that. If KO beats Punk, now you're just playing hot potato with the title belt, and you're shortening Punk's reign, and they want to tell a different story with that. So, yes, you can step back and say they should plan out more clean finishes and do it as a policy, and then it won't stand out as much. But the way that they tell a story, I mean, they wouldn't have had this. I'm just saying this match would not have happened tonight if they had to do a clean finish. So you either don't get the match or you get a tainted finish. But to ask this is like the least compelling argument for clean finishes in a title match is the first match with a guy who's been gone as long as KO in his hometown against Punk, unless you're committing to KO getting a clean win over Punk to then defend it in a triple threat against Sammy. You can make that. I mean, you can make that argument. Let Kevin Owens win clean in Toronto.
I think he should.
And
really.
Punk's
KO's
reign.
been gone for 17 months. I mean, he's been gone for a long time. I think you could have Sammy. And that's the thing about some of the matches too. Like they've done stuff here the last couple of weeks where they've done stuff. Now they have set up a match where they said, "Okay, here's a match," and I don't like necessarily. I don't, again, love somebody attacking somebody before a match. But I would, if you're going to do it, I'd rather do it before a match starts than I would just having a match, a 20-minute match, and then having a ref bump, which they have. It's not even 95%. It's every title match. Every title match And KO looked idiotic by throwing Punk into the ref. He looked idiotic by throwing him into the ref.
Mm-hmm.
He knew the ref was sitting there, and he threw Punk right into him. That
Kelly,
makes him a good goat.
Kelly, what do you think of the execution, as Sean just brought up? And then part two, what do you think of the idea of go with Sean, go with other people in the chat, do a clean finish, have Kevin Owens win? That's more important than whatever they're doing to lengthen or protect CM Punk's already tainted title reign, because, of course, Randy Orton helped him win at SummerSlam.
Yes.
If one wrestler throws another, then Dan Engler's going to be there to get in the way and and take a bump.
Yeah.
No, it's I saw that same thing with that double bump. He got bumped, and then he got bumped second time quite a bit harder. And I guess that's their, hey, just suspend the disbelief kind of moment for us. And that was the hardest to buy moment in the match by far. And
do you think they meant to make it look accidental, Kelly? More accidental?
I think that was the intent, but I don't know, given the way that Punk did it, I don't know how he thought that would work. Or why he thought that people would think he had no peripheral vision all of a sudden.
Yeah, you either have to have what are the odds the ref gets knocked down, period, but knocked down twice, or one of them has to be intentional for some reason. And you can imagine a wrestler in the moment being mad at the ref, getting in his face, saying back away or something like that, and then throwing the ref aside or throwing a wrestler into it. But it didn't seem, and I haven't rewatched the match, like to think, okay, is there something here that made it make more sense than my memory or Sean's memory has? But they didn't seem to account for that. And I kind of want pro wrestling to not be lazy, to not do old tropes, and just kind of account for the natural reaction that somebody would have watching it, going, why did that wrestler act that way, or why did that wrestler do that? And it didn't seem like that was on their mind when they did it. So either they had a poor concept or they executed what they had in mind in a flawed way.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that threw me off when Sean said what he said.
Sean.
Yeah, sorry, Sean. We disagree a lot, but like we always have the best conversations. For me, the best reason for this one not to be clean is because an unclean finish gives us months and months of TV. A clean finish it's done for a while, and that is until we get sustained years of that not being the way wrestling is. That's the way wrestling is in American wrestling. So I understand the fatigue of these finishes, but no matter if there's been 51 weeks in a row of unclean finishes or 51 clean ones in a row, this I just don't think can be one of them if you want to get a bunch of TV out of it.
Or can you have Kevin Owens beat Punk? I mean, I'll throw up National Diaz comment here. He says, I know it's a nostalgia take, but I seem to remember title matches where the title changed hands on Raw and SmackDown in the Attitude Era a lot. Now it's only on PLEs and never a clean finish. That was an unraveling of a booking discipline in the Attitude Era. I mean, there's great things that happened in that era. It was very successful, but once it became a head-to-head battle with minute-by-minute numbers poured over and agonized over, then it became time to hot shot and just, I mean, it was like, you're spending your retirement account on vacations, or new toys. Like, it was just very undisciplined booking at that time that unraveled literally decades of wrestling promoters going, I could make more money if I did a title change this month, but if I said yes every time that I had that temptation, title changes would mean less. It's just like printing money leads to inflation. The dollar loses its value. Title changes lose their value. And we lose a really valuable tool in the toolbox of booking. In the Attitude Era, it was desperation. It was undisciplined bookers. It was a sense of competition, and that's what we got. That should not be what we look back on Nashville Diaz. I almost said Nate Diaz. Nashville Diaz as a standard to return to. But it is true that happened. I think you want to end up in I don't have a problem with occasional kind of hot potato title change sequences where we don't. There was a time in UFC I was talking about the light heavyweight title. No one defended the title successfully for however many years. Like, it was just everyone win a title and then they lose it to someone else. Meanwhile, the middleweight title was held forever by Anderson Silva. That kind of thing. You can tell different stories with it. And maybe this was a time to do it and give Kevin Owens another title win. I don't like always punting to say we don't really know until 3 months from now when we look back, fully with certitude that it was a wrong decision or a right decision to do something, what they did, or do something different. But it's sort of arbitrary, Sean and chat, to say this should be the week that they change the way they do things because this is the break point. I think you could say this about a lot. But the more I talk, the more I could imagine Kevin Owens wins clean, and then Sammy comes in to congratulate him, and he seems offended that Kevin Owens doesn't immediately offer him a title shot or something and hits him with the belt. I mean, there's a way you could have kind of gotten to this. But then how do you justify Punk being in there? But then you can go, why be obsessed with Punk being in there?
Well, that's my thing with Punk too, is Punk's title run's just, to me, been crap. Like, he's done nothing to earn these title wins. Like, again, you're saying they're tainted. They are. Like, he's not winning he's not doing anything to make me feel like he's earned this title run. Like, he beat Sammy on a whim because he came back in Chicago when he just came back out of nowhere, and it didn't really make a lot of sense other than he was in Chicago, and he wins the title out of nowhere, which makes, again, for Sammy's character, I understood it, but it just felt weird for Punk just to come in out of nowhere, just win the title. Then he beats Cody because Orton interferes, and then he beats KO because Sammy interferes, and there's a ref bump. Punk doesn't feel vindicated by, like, oh, I'm having this great title run, I'm the best in the world. No, you're not. What have you proved to be the best in the world? It's not your fault. I'm not saying you're trying to have this happen, but it's still happening in your matches, and so you're not technically getting to prove you're the best in the world. And again, I love what Sammy's doing. I love what he's doing right now, but I don't think you have to go. Again, I'm worried about a three-way. What's the finish going to be in that, Kelly? They're going to interfere in that again. And then the next match, do you feel confident they're ever going to have a clean finish in any of these matches? Because
on
PLEs, going to do it.
On PLEs, maybe. The three-way is going to lead to a singles match between the person who did not lose the fall and the champion. I think that this is a story with many chapters, and we just read chapter 1.
And there are no unclean finishes in triple threat matches, Sean. You know that.
I know.
There are no rules.
That makes it even more mad. So I don't like those stupid matches because I hate when they do that, and it pisses me off.
Me too.
I don't know if this is an argument for or against anything in particular, but Arlay 1984 in the chat points out Drew, Cody, and Punk all won the WWE title on Raw or SmackDown over the past 9 months. So statistically, you could have gone into this saying you don't need to go back as Nashville Diaz did at the Attitude Era. You could say there could have been a title change tonight. My point isn't they could not have done that. My point is I think the lay of the land was they didn't want to do that. They were unlikely to do it. They want to keep the belt on Punk. They want to get to a triple threat. They want to do a finish, but not a clean one because they go, well, we're paying you off with a big angle. Sammy's hitting people with the belt. And so if they had to do a clean finish, I think they just would have avoided booking this match in the first place. But it is not obviously unheard of. You don't have to go back 25, 30 years to find title changes on TV either. Okay, Sean, I don't want to talk more about the decision to book the finish. I mean, we can talk about other stuff, though.
Yeah, no. So, but I thought the build to it was fine. I thought everything they did was good going into that. I think KO's been fun coming back. I mean, I'm interested. And again, Sammy, I'm curious where they're going with other than the triple threat, like the aspect of Sammy, getting justice. Like, okay, how is this going to be justice for you when you're trying to, beat up KO? And that's interesting to me because again, I'm like you, Kelly. I want to see. This is a different layer of Sammy and KO that I would like to see because it just felt like so not fresh at all ever, and this feels fresh and different and interesting. So I'm excited where they go there.
Sean, I'll interject because our Lay added to his post, added more context. He goes, my point was the complaining of no clean title matches is overstated. This year they've had more TV title changes than recent history. I don't have recall how clean they were, but if they did 3 clean finishes in the last 9 months for world title changes, then their record isn't that bad either.
Yeah, I mean, I still stand by what I said, but I see the pushback, and it's fair. Some of it's very fair, and but I want to talk about the Cody Randy. I love what they're doing with Cody Randy. Still, I like what they did. I'm definitely intrigued to see where it goes. I know, Wade, I actually, for once, because I usually don't look at your reports when I watch live because I just want to get my own thoughts. I don't like looking at other people think because I want to have my own. But I'm with you. Cody's intriguing to me right now. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm very intrigued. Randy was better tonight than he was last week, but he was still very good tonight. And the one thing I love about this too, and Darrell brought it up, and you can talk about it when he's on too, but there are more people wanting the championship in WWE right now, and
Yep.
I love that. They're having their mission statement. I want to be champion, and that's great. So, what do you think about Cody Randy and where they're going and what they might be leading to there? Because very interesting.
Before we answer that, I have a super chat on the last topic. I'm going to sneak it in so it's not too detached from our conversation. Derek Mitchell with the super chat. Thank you, Derek. You remain the king of the super chat. Yes, there is an inevitable ref bump in the title match, but Roman versus Seth at SummerSlam did not have outside interference, and Roman won clean. So
Derek is one of the most positive people I've ever met in my life. I'm almost more positive than Zach is, which is amazing because he's positive about everything. Like everything is great.
Well, about
I'm
AEW,
positive, but yeah, what?
And
well,
about AEW, but not Chris Jericho.
Well, that's true. No, that's true. He's not positive about Chris Jericho. That's true. But yeah. So, what did you guys think? It was a fun opening start to the show.
So yeah, thanks for reading my TV report. People in the chat are wondering what I think of it. I wrote a whole paragraph on it. Thank you for the plug in my written report. It's almost like spoilers. What's Wade going to think if you read my TV report before the podcast? But right. Yes. For those who didn't see or didn't pick up on it, he said that Orton, Randy, you might win your 15th or 16th title and become the greatest ever. But when he comes back to him, he's the one who kills the Legend Killer. So Cody's like, I'm going to kill the Legend Killer. And he closed with, and that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. So you could go, Cody's just borrowing a Paul Heyman line, using it against a guy not affiliated with Paul Heyman. Why would he do that? It's a little weird. You'd say it against Braun Breaker, against Brock Lesnar, against Logan Paul, if you're Cody facing them. But why use a Heyman line against Randy when Randy's not affiliated with Heyman unless it's foreshadowing a Cody Heyman alliance? And so I played that out in my paragraph of analysis at PWTorch in my written report on SmackDown. I do written reports on Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Check them out. And I started going, okay, Cody, Oben, Braun Breaker has been sympathetic. Like, he hasn't been a whiner. He just feels like, I look at it as he was the number one draft pick. He was going to be the next big star, the future. And then Oba came in, and everyone started going, the new shiny toys, Oba, not you, Braun. And Braun just like, and he's lost some big matches. I haven't really talked a lot about that in the narrative, but he's had a rough year. And so you can see Braun kind of little self-doubt, trying to psych himself up. Paul's supposed to be there for him, but Paul's not staying super loyal to him. But again, Braun hasn't been a jerk about it. He's just been sort of introspective and bothered. And that's why I've been intrigued by it. Oba hasn't been a jerk about anything either. So they're kind of both baby faces going into this match. And you have Paul Heyman kind of playing both sides. So I'm intrigued with, and I like, when would it happen or how would it happen? I mean, we could speculate on that, but if they decide to pull the trigger on Cody going heel because Paul helps Cody beat Randy, I don't know. Like, I haven't thought through exactly the timeline on it, but that line made me go down that road of thinking that maybe they're going to go into the fall with Cody aligned with Heyman, because the vision isn't really something Heyman's super attached to. If Oba beats Braun, I could imagine Heyman going, Braun, you're not good enough for me. And Oba rejects Paul. So Paul's already looking for somebody, and why not go with the best? Cody, he's been the best. Paul can make the case for the last few years when he hasn't been screwed over. And Randy made the point in the promo, Cody, you don't have killer instinct. You don't take enough joy in being sadistic, whereas I do, and therefore I will get ahead. So you can imagine Cody's tired of hearing he's a golden boy. He's a forever good guy. He'll never turn. He doesn't have a killer instinct. He's not sadistic enough. And kind of that kind of bouncing around in his head. And then Heyman says, Cody, Randy's got a point. If you want to win the title and keep the title, why do it the hard way? Why be frustrated? Join me. So that's the answer to your question. That's what I thought when I heard that. And then I started kind of thinking, when can this play out? I'm far from convinced that's what this line meant and what is going to happen. But it's absolutely what that line triggered those thoughts in my head. Kelly, how about you?
Yeah, and not just that, but Randy also laying it on really thick, saying you're a good guy.
You'll always be a good guy.
You'll always be a good guy. All that stuff. Crofton in the chat saying crowd booed so hard for Cody calling him QB1. We almost missed the line. Maybe let other people call you that instead of yourself. And for me, that might be another breadcrumb. I mean, you hope it's another breadcrumb, and that Cody isn't just a little tone deaf about what a good guy in the real world is supposed to sound like, because there have been times that we've definitely talked about maybe that being the case for him and some other workers. But yeah, I think that if Cody turns heel in the next couple of months, we're going to look back at that's a spoiler and calling himself QB1 as really the tipping point where we probably all should have gotten it, because I think this feud with Randy could even be a double turn. Randy hasn't turned in well over a couple of months, so he's due. So
Randy is just in his own lane. I don't even know if they never frame that. By the way, that would also explain why Randy interfered in a world title match, and they're not like shaming him or decrying his interference, because they're trying to protect him as Randy being Randy. He's just in a lane unto himself. When you're around for 30 years, you just get to kind of like not be a character. You're just you. You're your own brand in your own category, and that's how they treat him. That would explain it. If they actually are going to have Randy be the babyface, if Cody turns and aligns with Heyman, that would explain why Randy has not technically been a full-fledged as a heel yet. So there might be a rhyme or reason to the blurriness of the presentation of his character that's frustrated me since WrestleMania. Sean.
I think overall, like when I watched it and I was listening, I still feel that the goal is just for Cody to have that fire as a babyface, and this is like just the things he needed to go over the edge and just in this feud and show that he has a backbone and he's not going to stand down and he's not going to take any, Randy, especially knowing the backstory they have, he's not going to take his crap, and I think that's still where they're going, but at the same time, if they did if Cody fully went into it and decided, you know what, this is the time, I'm going to go heel, I'm going to go full blown, I'm not just going to do this mini crap, I'm going to go full blown heel. I mean, he's going to do a great job at it. I really do think when it's that time, I don't know if it's time yet. But I was worried when they booed him at the end. I was kind of worried about it. I was like, oh man, maybe this is the time. Maybe let this play out and let him do it. But
it's a very incompetent way to get Cody cheered, Sean. If Randy's promos are supposed to get heat on Randy and get Cody cheered, and if they are, since WrestleMania and since Randy's return, they have been in this. I mean, there's just so much of it. That's what frustrates. There's so many situations where you're like, well, they're not really framing somebody in a way that makes sense, given how they're not owning their actions or decrying their actions, and it kind of breaks down the foundation of the establishment should be for fairness and finding out who the best wrestler is, and they just are dismissive of it. So I'm against that booking approach if you're not willing to own it in the narrative. But that said, if we want to explain the narrative, there might be an end game. And I always talk about that. Like, you always have to hedge before you have this certitude that what they're doing is just is rudderless. There's no point to it. You can disagree with how they chose to take the journey, but you shouldn't disregard the possibility that the journey has an endpoint that they have in mind the whole time. Where, as I say, the best hope we can have when there's blurriness and ambiguity is that we look back a couple months from now and go, okay, at least it makes sense in this context now. And I think that might be where we're headed. A couple chat comments, and I'll throw to you, Kelly, for some follow-up on this. Mr. Freshman 92 says, a few weeks ago, I commented in the chat that I was just waiting for Cody to be the next Paul Heyman guy. Indeed. This is interesting. Sather Version 3 goes, the interesting thing to me is Randy didn't come across all that as heelish, and Cody didn't come across as super babyface-ish. Seems like it's another top feud where it's cheer for the guy you like. At the moment, it's like Randy was cool with Sammy, and you go, well, that's heelish, but it was just Randy being kind of chummy, just generically. Like, he wasn't, and Sammy had not done what he did in the main event yet, but Randy wasn't like being a jerk to anybody. It wasn't even being a jerk to Cody. He was just kind of speaking the hard truth in his mind. That's kind of what he's doing. And Powder River Pete said, when Cody dropped that line, it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. He goes, when he dropped that line, I was like, it's happening. Wade was right. Then Rude Dog says, Cody does not need Heyman.
I would agree with that, but like he said, somebody said Punk didn't need him either, and it worked great. So, yeah. I mean, it can work. I mean, Heyman can make anything work. I mean, it's Paul Heyman. So,
I need is a strong word, Kelly, but I think Heyman enhances Cody.
Yeah.
I think Heyman, yes, there was Curtis Axel and Claudio, whatever. Then, the vision, all the injuries, and that gimmick was cursed. Whatever. I mean, there's been a history. It's not like every person Heyman aligns with is just automatically over. But when it's a top person who hasn't been heel and goes heel with Heyman, you get to see a whole different version of Heyman at that point too. And there was a line in here, and then I'll throw to Kelly. Darrell says bringing up Heyman and then saying QB1 can be his heel thing with Heyman, and Heyman is the coach who calls the plays. Heyman's been an advocate, and the what is he now? The not the visionary, that's Seth. Not the sage. Come on, what is Heyman now?
Oh gosh, if you hadn't asked, I'd have it right away.
I know. Isn't that how our brains work?
Mm-hmm.
It'll come to me when I stop trying to think of it.
Yep.
But Oracle, there it is. Thank you.
Oracle.
Yep, the Oracle. So yeah, he has to have something new, right? He's got to have something new, and so he'll be Coach Heyman. I don't know if he'd like that, but yeah, he's calling the plays for QB1. Man, would that be obnoxious and get heel heat, Kelly?
Yeah, the chat is running with this. I mean, they're doing this. This is canon.
By the way, everyone should now say the Oracle like they thought of it first, since 6 other people have said it.
Yeah, I'm just lagging.
We get it.
QB1 and Coach Heyman would be properly irritating. I'm on board with this crowdsourced idea. I think that could really work. I do think that Cody would almost, yes, need is a strong word, but I just think that that's a pairing that would really, really work and would be that visual we need at a time where we spend way too much time wondering if somebody actually has turned heel. I hate not knowing if somebody has turned heel for as many months as they have. And Sadler, what he said about maybe this is another choose the guy you want. I'm assuming Sadler does not like that, just as I don't like that. It seems these bookers are genuinely afraid of being wrong. So they're like, hey, I can't be wrong and I can't miscast if I just throw them both out there and tell them to act at the same level of facedom and heeldom, and then people just choose. I just don't think that you don't rev up a crowd usually with two guys that are just kind of liked.
Especially if they spend like 3 of the last, especially Kelly, if they spent 3 of the last 4 weeks tearing each other apart with every weakness and shining a spotlight on everything that might diminish their star power. I mean, like, when I tune into a Minnesota Timberwolves game, I don't want Jim Pete going, let me talk about all the deficiencies and all the players who you love to pay to see and root to win. Like there's a reason we get a hometown call of our games. And yeah, that would be kind of, by the way, Coach Heyman, Crofton says when Heyman is Coach Heyman, he should wear a tracksuit. I have photos. I've taken tons of photos at ringside over the years. Published in magazines, the National Sports Daily, Pro Wrestling Torch Newsletter, of course. So I got a lot of ringside. It's been great. Like shooting photos at ringside is awesome. Some of my favorite pro wrestling memories were ringside. And shooting Paul Heyman, either from the front row or ringside, wearing his tracksuit back. There was a time I just imagine a couple photos of him, I think, wearing a tracksuit. Maybe it's a Mandela effect or something that I'm imagining. But I can imagine Heyman in a tracksuit, and I think I have it in my photo my photo collection just a few feet away. So yeah, and the chat likes the idea of Coach Heyman.
Coach John Tolis for Mr. Perfect. I mean, weeks of memories there.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to think who Heyman was managing during the time when I'm imagining
Dangerous Alliance, maybe.
I think it was WCW.
I'm putting him in either a suit or a tracksuit in Dangerous Alliance. No, that was probably more a suit.
I'm tempted to go get my Heyman photos while you guys are talking. Anyway, here's some more chat comments on this. Derek Mitchell says Heyman is going to go with what is best for him. I think people want to cheer Cody if he's a heel, but an alliance with Heyman could help him solidify his heel status. Imagine QB1 and Coach Heyman. Pretty much we're talking about enough, or they can't not do it now. I think they actually have to do it. Crowd booed so hard for Cody calling himself QB1. We almost missed the line. Maybe let other people call you that instead of yourself. Well, unless you want to go heel and you're laying the groundwork for it. As you mentioned this, Kelly, Mark Biscetti says Punk didn't need Heyman, yet it was a hugely successful pairing. True. Pilder repeats says Heyman has the Midas touch. Derek Mitchell says QB1 and Coach Belichick. I mean, Paul Heyman. Crofton says, I non-ironically love QB1 and Coach Heyman. Rude Dog says, if Cody turns heel right now, it won't be for the cinema. It will be for desperation. Interesting. Powder Repeat says he calls him Coach. That would be awesome. And Derek Mitchell says, I like the idea. All right, I already mentioned that, I think. Nashville Diaz says, if he is going to turn heel, Cody absolutely needs Heyman. So there's a vote for needing Heyman. Yeah, it would. I'll follow up on that. Kelly first and Sean. If they do turn Cody heel and align him with Heyman, and I mean we're playing this out and maybe giving him more time, but it's kind of fun. Yeah. But if they did it, would it seem like a sign of desperation or the landing place of a master plan that they've had in mind for months? Obviously, if you book Toronto for August 21st, you knew Kevin Owens was coming back. You knew you're going to do the angle for him to be in a world title match. I mean, it wasn't a coincidence. We see the city lining up with returns and call-ups and stuff like that often enough. You know there's things that they have scheduled months ahead when they book shows. Sometimes it's a happy coincidence too, not always, but they do plan stuff out, and we can take issue with sometimes the path they take to get there, or if it's stretched out too long, or whatever. But would this feel like it was a master plan or desperation, Kelly?
Depends on how it's booked. And he said it wouldn't be cinema; it would be desperation. But desperation can manufacture cinema as long as it's not booked in such a way that it looks like a knee-jerk reaction or a hot shot. I would say that even if planned ahead of time, Cena's heel turn ended up looking like a desperation move, or just something they were wedging into that story. But you could also say that maybe they were, I don't know, Austin and Brett was so weird because you didn't think at the beginning of WrestleMania 13 that was even in the cards. Mm-hmm. So I almost hesitate to use it because I mean it's just one of the best angles ever.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania, but
not a tracksuit.
Not a tracksuit.
I'm just go ahead. I don't mean to distract from your point, Kelly. Not a tracksuit.
Mandela indeed.
Is that a tracksuit or just a track jacket and some weird Zuba
that's
shorts?
Like a windbreaker.
Yeah. Yeah, the windbreaker might be what I had in mind.
Oh wow.
I kind of want that photo, and I know where you live.
Wow.
There's a suit. I'm trying to think how to get the glare off of this.
I like that one. That one's kind of interesting. That was kind of cool.
Another suit
This
photo.
is riveting for podcast viewers. This is riveting.
My
for
backstage photo. Yeah, I know. There's. Yeah.
Well, you're making this so riveting for people that are just listening. They're like, what are we talking about? We got to be.
I'm for the podcast audience. I am holding up photos of Paul Heyman wearing different things, looking for this tracksuit. But I think that photo of him with the jacket and the Zuba shorts was probably what I was thinking of.
Oh.
And now the audio only can be an advertisement to actually show up and watch these because you're not getting that photo in that bizarre getup any other time.
I will say answering the question because he did ask me this question. And I thank you, Wade, for asking me the question. I like that one. That's good too. What was it? Purple? Something purple?
Oh, this Paul Heyman in suspenders. Look at that. That's an AWA shot from August 1st, 1987 at the Minneapolis Auditorium.
Oh wow!
With Dennis Condrey in the original Midnight Express. I was there for that.
Okay, nice. With Cody, no, I think. I mean, I'm with
pleated slacks on Paul Heyman, folks. Pleated slacks.
He's worn it all.
Yeah. Oh, Halloween Havoc. Halloween Havoc dressed up as
Dracula. All right.
Oh, yeah, okay. I forgot.
Didn't see that coming. He dressed. No, I paused. The answer is Danhausen. He's dressed up as Danhausen. 30 years before Danhausen. Here's another tracksuit shot. Another track shoot. Sorry, podcast audience. Hope you're getting vicarious joy out of this. Oh, I don't even know. He's wearing a sombrero and a cape.
What in the world? Wow,
he's cupping his ears like Hulk Hogan, mockingly. This is my Paul Heyman photo collection. I'm not seeing a tracksuit, so I think it was that jacket and the Zuba shorts. Yeah, so it'll be fresh. It won't be a retro. All right, I'm done. I closed my Paul Heyman photo collection bin. It's closed. It's put away. Everyone, come on back.
That was great.
Kelly,
though. That
I
was actually really
stepped
cool.
on whatever you were saying. I just was so excited to look for the track.
You know, I got lost in all that. I don't have a Paul Heyman photo collection. I did once catch Mr. Perfect's gum when he spit it, and I still have it. And that is
No.
possibly
my-
the first time I've ever admitted that on the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
I have
Wow.
a bloody what's a cloth wrap called for medical purposes? Gauze. I have
Gauze.
but actually no, it was athletic tape, white athletic tape, bloodied athletic tape from Dusty Rhodes, like circa 1986 from a WCW house show.
That was cool.
And I picked it up, and my friend was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, good point." Good point.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, Kelly, were you already finished with what
I'm
you were
done,
saying
man.
about-
I'm good.
Okay. With Cody, I think if you, quit stepping on me, Wade. Quit stepping on me.
Well, I'm going to step on you again. Mr. Freshman says you should have kept that to yourself, Kelly.
I knew it even as it was coming out of my mouth.
By the way, people like the Paul Heyman photo, Sean. Folks didn't see Paulie Dangerously in Memphis with Austin Idol and Tommy Rich, and the AWA with the original Midnight Express with Randy Rose and Dennis Condrey. You missed a treat for sure. Rude Dog wants to know how many Paul Hammond photos I have. I have 0 Paul Hammond photos, Rude Dog. If you mean Paul Heyman, dozens that I took and more that others sent. Crofton says, how does Wade have all these photos so readily available? Because I have my photo collection organized in a cabinet right by my desk. Has Cavanti Small says, Paul seen these photos, Wade? I expect him to make a flattering tweet about this. Anyway. Cavanti says, wonderful stuff. Arlay says, that's when he wore the tracksuit in WCW, was when feuding with Missy, doing the arm wrestling and other matches. So I guess that windbreaker is what we're calling a tracksuit now.
Wow.
That era. Okay. I'm seeing if there's anything else I want to throw up so I don't interrupt Sean again. Yeah, Sean, I'm done interrupting, at least for the moment. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. I knew you had to throw that in there. With Cody with Heyman, does not need Heyman. I disagree with my friend there. He does not need Paul Heyman. But if we're going to do it, yes. So Kelly's right. It have to be booked over. They'd have to be thinking about this over. They would have to be thinking about this for a long period of time, and it has to be booked great. But I think if that's where they're going, I think it's going to be great, because I think Cody and Heyman together could be gold. Cody, loves the business. Heyman loves the business. Heyman just like, hey, we got to make this heel thing work. Let's do it. Like, I think it would be great if that's what they were planning all along. I'm into it. I've said that. I love Cody as a face. I'm in the minority, but I think a heel turn would be fantastic, and I'd be excited for it.
Kelly, premature, or why not? It would freshen things up. Things are a little stale. It would realign things. Because I like Braun Breaker as a babyface more than a heel, realigning with Heyman. I think Braun's come across as a mature, introspective, thoughtful person who is rightfully feeling like he's being discarded by Paul Heyman, who simply is out for himself, where Braun thought that they had a bond that extended beyond that. And he notices over his shoulder, Paul is willing to align with anybody who is hot. And Oba's the current shiny new toy. And Braun's like, wait, you just all abandoned me for him? He just beat Lesnar, your guy. So I think Braun's been sympathetic, not a jerk or whiny or needy, but kind of acting like somebody would that you would have sympathy for in this situation. And he also doesn't seem to be thrilled with Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree's lovey-dovey PDA. And I don't think he and Logan Paul are, showing great affection for each other either. I mean, there's not like obvious heat, but Braun just kind of is in his own world.
And I'll say this.
Go, Kelly. Okay, go, Sean.
I was just going to say, Kelly, real quick before you say that, I apologize, Kelly. That's my fault. I say the thing I'm worried about too is this Oba Braun. Real quick, I'm going to bring it up because you just talked about it. They need to book a clean finish for that. Like, if you're going to book the match on a big Sunday night main event, which they've actually done a really good job building this up, give me something clean. Like, it could be okay. One of them can win and one of them can lose. It's okay. We don't need to book a dirty finish for that too. We can get a clean finish.
I'm just warning you. That one's not going to be 100% clean.
But again, like, do it. Stop just doing it. And that's what their argument for it is. Like, we just have a story we're going to tell. Like, yes, you could, but just don't bum me out every time I'm excited for a match and I get a crap finish every time. That doesn't excite me. It just doesn't. Sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
So covering NXT, I saw Braun's entire run there, and most of it was quite bad. But his best stuff there was all babyface. His worst stuff was babyface too. But that's the first time they tried to make him babyface. And their idea of showing that he was a babyface was like, hey, Braun Breaker goes out on the lake and he fishes.
Yeah.
He goes fishing. And
Unreal
and I guess
showed that footage again.
that's, oh my God. Like that's what their answer was. Like, this is why you need to like this guy. He's just like you. But it was just kind of boring and bland. But my favorite thing in NXT, and nothing comes close that he did, was the team he did with Baron Corbin, where he was the young, annoying sort of guy, and Corbin was just like, oh, I used to be just like this. And their tag team is still, to this day, my favorite thing both of them have done. Now, you don't want Braun to go too silly, but he does have that in his kit. So like he can bring out some of these more whimsical aspects of himself, dole them out in small doses, and see what we have. Because I don't know, Braun, the badass heel, for me is just, and then now he's just in a position where he's going to get steamrolled by the coolness that is Oba Femi, because Oba's all the things that they said Braun Breaker was, way prematurely, by the way, when he had not shown anything that
which worked against him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
go ahead, Kelly, finish your thought. I thought you did.
People who've listened to me on NXT might be surprised to learn that I basically made peace with Braun Breaker, because I did not like his run in NXT at all.
Well, it was flailing. They're just trying to figure out what his lane was. What is interesting about Braun that we can amplify and turn him into a star, and it was clear that's what they were doing the whole time.
Yeah, and I'm encouraged by these little moments we're seeing now, just as you guys are.
Quick comment from Powder Repeat. I wish WWE Unreal was a fishing show starring Braun Breaker.
Oh, and he spelled it UNREEL. Well done.
Yeah.
Perfectly done.
Yes. The pun is lost on is a play on words more than a pun? I don't know. Sadler Version 3 goes, I agree that was the best Braun in NXT, but that character had zero upside as a top guy.
That's true, but it was a good start for him. Like, you could break out of that story and then move up, because there's always a way to do that coming out of a tag team. But you're right, that alone wasn't going to make him a top guy.
Yeah, Sadler, as Braun in NXT was boring most of his run, I agree. He was mostly a product of his athletic potential. They're trying to figure out how to market that athletic potential and his lineage, and just being a professional that people liked backstage. I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, you can tell when management goes, this is someone we want to work with for 15 years as a top guy, versus, oh my God, I don't know if we want this guy to get over because he's going to be a handful. Like, it's Stephon Diggs. He's talented, but do we want him on our team? That kind of, that's a real sports thing. And it's a real thing in pro wrestling that some people, I think, discount too quickly because they don't have to deal with them full time as a money draw. And I think Braun clearly was, they evaluated him early on as somebody that they would like to get over and would like to work with. Rude Dog says, when Cody last left WWE, his most recurring role was a heel in Ring of Honor, and he was perfect at it. I feel like Heyman could make it more cheesy if you're going to go heel. Wow. We always talked about that clip of Roman Reigns. And by the way, I thought about this. In NXT, Kelly, I think it was early NXT when Roman did the one, like the thing of the heel
thoroughbred.
promo.
Yep.
And what did he do in that the most famous clip of him cutting the heel promo?
He yelled really loud.
But he looked at his.
Oh gosh.
He looked at his watch.
Oh, that's right.
You're right. I'm not I remember that. And now he's obsessed with watches again. I just thought of that. Like the go-to clip for people to show, no, Reigns would be a great heel. Because remember about Cody being a great heel? The go-to when Roman Reigns was a bad babyface, everyone said, oh, and I was alone. He'll be a great heel. Go look the clip up where he looks at his watch and says something. And he's just dismissive. Like, I think it was like, I got better things to do. Like, I got to get going. It was like cutting the interview short or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But now he's obsessed with watches again, judging other babyfaces' watches if they're not expensive enough and materialistic enough. Cody has those clips out there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was doing NXT 8 years back and watching back the
Mhm.
early days of Roman when he was briefly a heel there, I thought the same thing. I was like, he was giving them all the information here of what he should be.
Yep.
Like literally, he was giving him the information, and then they put him in the Shield, and like still a heel, they had him like yell out certain words and things like that, and it was so bad and so
Mhm.
forced. And I was surprised to learn that at the beginning, his natural instincts would have carried him if they would have just let him find his own voice rather than tell him what his voice was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think when your natural voice is an narcissist at the top of the card who's in control of everything and is rich and famous and successful and full of himself, it's hard to start off that way. You know what I mean? Like, how can your gimmick when you're a rookie or just starting off be what he became? That I think that would be the one thing that would stop them. It's like, it feel kind of gimmicky for him to walk in and act like I'd already made it. I mean, I guess you could. There's a way to make that work, but I can also see
I'm
them
a
going,
winner in life, and
Yeah.
But that is kind of tougher.
Yeah, it came about naturally after years of failure and then years of success for him to kind of land in the role that he's in now. Sean, anything else quick? I want to have time for other calls here.
Yeah. One quick thing I wanted to ask you and talk to Kelly about real quick is it was just a small thing tonight, but with Alexa and Charlotte, kind of the dynamic, and then bringing Tatum in, which I know Kelly's going to have a lot to say, so I wanted to hear kind of his thoughts. But I want to hear what you guys have thought about, even though it's a small sample size, very small, what Tatum can do, what she can bring to the main roster. Because I didn't, Kelly, I only saw her a little bit in NXT. I haven't got to watch as much as I would like. So I wanted to see what you think her ceiling can be, because I do like what she did tonight. It was short but sweet. I thought it made sense for her character. I want to hear more, flesh out what her character is, and kind of how it fits with Charlotte and kind of where they're going with all that dynamic and where they might be going with it.
Yeah.
There's a reason the scene was brief, and there's a reason it was backstage rather than out there in front of 20,000 people. I like Tatum, but she didn't get over for a while. It took kind of a while for them to find out what they wanted out of Tatum and who Tatum was. And I'm invested in her because I saw the storylines. She was basically Sting, the way that she was getting screwed over by friends left and right. Just over and over. And so that kind of drew us to her. Now they have to restart that story. So now she's just kind of a creepy chick who doesn't totally seem like she lives in reality. And I think that's going to be hard.
Do I bring the blood?
Yeah, right. And it was just, so it felt like a very gimmicky scene, but she's a character that could be organically somebody that everybody just decides she's just so weird. We love her. But it's early to say. I think that there is a very, very wide disparity between her ceiling and her floor. And I think it's because the character is high concept at a time when characters aren't high concept in wrestling.
Kelly, and you organized a murder mystery, I heard recently. My son came over to your house and was part of that. Who was in charge of bringing the blood for your murder mystery that you hosted that my son took part in?
Bowie was so ready that I'm surprised he didn't bring blood. He came and he played his character so well. I was freaking losing my mind on the sidelines. There's a reason I gave him the funny character. It's the character I would have played myself when I was that age. And he was brilliant in it. He and Maya just owned the space. It was great.
He actually hosted. He's many things, but a theater kid is one of them. And the neighbors knew that, and they had him host a murder mystery event at their house, like last fall, I think, for some birthday party, something like that. And he's like, "Oh, I'm all in for that." So it doesn't surprise me that you figure that you assessed he came prepared and was all in on it. Yeah.
So for brief context, I write a lot, and I wrote a murder mystery for my daughter and 7 of her very, very closest friends, one of which is Wade's son, and they acted it out, and they literally only the killer knew he was the killer, and then they played the whole thing out, and they ended up. The inspector got it right, so fun time had by all. It was.
But I was impressed you didn't buy one out of the box; that you made your own.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm not that
Yeah.
guy. But now I'm going to sell this one, and I'm going to hopefully commission some art of the 8 people who played in the show, and maybe put that on the cover of this new game.
Awesome.
So I'm already in the early stages of planning that. But
It
very
got good
real-
reviews here. It got good reviews here. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
I love praise, so by all means, tell
Yes,
me
yeah.
every single thing he said.
So Darrell, you need your own theme song, dude. It's coming up, man. Everybody in the chat needs their own theme song. We got to figure this out somehow. We'll figure this out. It'll all work out. But guys, it's always a pleasure. Get back on soon. I'll get in the chat. Go VIP, everyone. You won't regret it. Trust me.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. PWTorch, VIPinfo.com. Speaking of Darrell, he is next in line. Darrell, welcome.
How y'all doing today?
What's up, Darrell?
well.
It's been a
Having
while.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been a while, Kelly.
Yeah, always good to hear from you. And I don't
Yes,
know if I've
sir.
ever seen you, so here we are.
No, sir. No, sir. But no, I don't want no theme song. No, don't do me like that. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But nah, I don't want one. But to add on to what you guys were talking about, I love the conversation that y'all had. Hopefully, QB1 turned into a heel moniker for Cody and stuff like that. And I didn't mind the the interference and stuff like that, because I overlook interference when it comes to a good story, and the reason why you're doing it can fit in the story that you can tell, and it's not just something you're just doing it just not to call because you don't want to choose a winner. So, and I agree with Kelly. It adds for months and months of television. You can go into 3 PLEs with the story that they start to tell with that, and plus Sammy's story has been the best story of the year. So that's another good thing as well. Now to get to something that I want to hear Kelly talk about, how did you like Nakamura and his introduction of his new partner?
All right.
All right, everybody settle in. I'm going to talk for about 30 straight minutes. So, yeah, very excited. As soon as I saw Nakamura on the screen, I was like, oh, this could be the week. This actually might be it, especially being so close to the end of the show as it was. So this is Hiromu Takahashi. He was the junior heavyweight for basically a full decade. They were almost a full decade. He was at the very, very top of their junior heavyweight division. He was in a very, very popular stable called Los Ingobernables de Japón. And they've kind of spread to a bunch of different companies. And that particular faction ended. He was still there for a bit, but you could tell the company knew they didn't have him for the long haul, because he was still being booked. He was so popular, he couldn't stop being booked, but he wasn't booked as the man anymore. And he's 36. He's not a young guy either, but yeah, Hiromu is his name. And, was his name. Now it's, what did they go with? Koki?
Kyoto?
Kyoki, which
Yeah.
I speak functional Japanese, but I had to look up Kyoki. It means madness or frenzy. He ended with Bakusai.
What a coincidence, because they said madness 7 times in the promo.
It did. He ended with Bakusai, which I knew, but I only knew because of him, because he says it at the end of a lot of his promos, which means I'm going to blast you to pieces, basically. And when he says mata, 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 which is something he's always done, he's saying more, more, more. So that's something that he's always done. But the guy can move, but he can also strike. He's short. He's not stout exactly, but he's thick enough to really, really lay in some shots. His stated goal when he was in New Japan was to try to get junior heavyweights to occasionally be at the top of the card, even when there was a heavyweight championship match. New Japan does not change quickly. Like, not at all. It takes decades and decades of red tape for anything to change at all there. And it's been booked by the same guy for a very, very long time. So that never did come to pass. But he, I think, really did his part to make a very, very special junior heavyweight division. So it'll be interesting to see how he's presented. I think they're going babyface with him, which would make sense because I have never seen him. I mean, he was technically in a heel stable, but they were so popular from the get-go, they were treated as baby faces almost immediately. And he's super weird. He wears suits with eyeballs coming off of them. But yeah, he's great. But I don't know if this greatness will translate to this company because it doesn't always. But I thought that tonight was a good first step.
Crofton in the chat says Shinsuke has struggled for years, partially due to lack of English language skills. Now his partner seems like doubling down on that problem. How will this guy succeed in WWE?
I mean, you're not kidding. He speaks a lot less English than Nakamura, as far as I know. He can do basic phrases, things like that, but there are a handful of Japanese wrestlers that I've been very surprised to learn speak it very, very strongly, but they just aren't in a position to do so, not on the shows that I watch. So I was waiting with bated breath to see what he delivered. And this could be a thing where he doesn't deliver a whole lot of things in English early on as he becomes more and more comfortable with it. But Io Sky, as Io Shirai in NXT, did do a bunch of her early promos in Japanese, and then started to speak, yes, more briefly, but did the majority of her talking in English. So yeah, they've got, I mean, the company's become like a little New Japan. I didn't think I'd ever see anybody from New Japan move over, and now we've got 3 over there. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him, because he really is just he's a madman.
If you could book him, if you could choose his path, or you were the go-to person who WWE leaned on to get the most out of him, what would you do?
Oh boy, he's a tough one. He was easy to book in New Japan. It's a totally different beast over there. He can't just be the small guy anymore because there's no title that's just for small guys. So there's not that. I would probably relatively quickly get him in some sort of program for a secondary championship. But man, Hiromu, I've had months to be able to think of this because they've been talking about him coming to this company for months. And it isn't as obvious to me as it is for a guy like Evil, who became Naraku and is even though Hiromu's 5 times in the ring what Evil is, I knew what they were going to be able to do with Evil and that it would translate and that there's a look and a presentation. I think they will start small and they will just put him out there as this super weird dude and see what people respond to. And I know that's kind of feels like I'm skirting the answer here, but I don't know that I have the answer. That I don't see him in any obvious storyline other than the usual go to the well of he's the shiny new toy. And I hope it's better than that because they love the term shiny new toy. They use it constantly. But outside of that, I think that it's actually going to be not so obvious because he is famous in New Japan for being the best small guy, but he's a small guy. He's short. Yeah. So this will be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Darrell.
May I help you out again? He has a frantic charisma. Charisma sort of kind of similar to Io Shirai, but it's a frantic lunatic friends, if I can steal that for a moment, type of charisma that capture people, and they let him use saying more and more and more like he was in New Japan. I think that's what they're gonna emphasize, just like they did with Shinsuke, especially that first year when he was on the main roster and he kind of hit his highs that first year that he came on the main roster. do you think that will probably be more of his lane? That madness, that frenzy, that all that.
So, Dro, we got the question, but try to adjust your headset too. I don't know if it's brushing against your beard or you just have a magically worse headset than your last one. But it was tough. It was tough to understand you there a bit, but maybe the adjustment helps. So go ahead, Kelly. I think you were able to pick up on what he was saying.
Yeah, I mean the frenzy, the madness. Obviously, they're committed to that since the name means madness/frenzy.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and was completely unsurprised to see what it meant, because that's the presentation of Hiromu. So he's got a strong move set, but it's a strong style move set, and he was a guy who overwhelmed opponents, but he overwhelmed other small guys. Because in New Japan, they don't do singles matches between heavyweights and juniors almost ever. They face each other every night in tag matches, but singles matches between guys that aren't in the same division are extremely rare. There's like a couple a year. So he didn't do a lot of that. So seeing him tangle with these much larger guys could be an issue where people start seeing that size mismatch and wondering how he's supposed to be believable in that role. But maybe the idea is that he's so crazy and catches people so off guard that maybe that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Crofton in the chat says, I think Wade's comment about not booking a match if you don't want a finish. I think the same way about hiring. Why hire a guy who has such a ceiling? Small stature and limited English are tough. I mean, being in a tag team with Shinsuke where there's going to be limited promos, but you just bring something to the tag division, I mean, that can last a while if Shinsuke's around. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like tag teams got a ton of mic time. I mean, I'm not defending their lack of investment in tag teams, and sometimes they have tag teams who don't deserve a lot of mic time, but it's not a prerequisite to be a top tag team that you cut promos a lot.
Yeah, EO was stashed in tag teams a lot early on in NXT also. So as we've seen, if somebody's good enough, they'll make them break out. But I think as a woman, the fact that EO's a little smaller doesn't seem to matter to fans as much as it does when a guy is smaller. So when it's time for him to break out of that tag team, if there is a time for that, I worry about the man.
All right, Darrell.
If people catch on to his charisma,
he could be the next Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. That I don't seen that pop open more than anything else. In WWE, I see if he could fit in AEW with the wrestling skills and stuff like that, but in WWE, the wrestling, it means something, but if your charisma outweighs your wrestling, they'll put you over and do a whole lot with you and get you over, and long as the fans catch on.
Yeah.
But
your headset's better, by the way. The adjustment you made worked. It's in
the beard. Yeah. Another thing would be this. Blake Monroe, this is supposed to be her first match tonight against Julia.
Yep.
She did the same thing that she's been doing, tagging from behind. I kind of appreciate it. They're still telling the same story. They having her say that she want her first match to be against she want the Zilla Fatu treatment. She want the first match to be a title match and stuff like that. So I want to see how this story goes. And these two already had clash in NXT and stuff like that. So the story that they can tell with her, and it seems like the surrounding people anyway is with all this chips in with Chelsea Green and her being a champion and how everybody look at her and see her as somebody that they can beat. How do you like these stories that they telling? Because again, SmackDown is the show for good stories right now. How do you like all that, and what do you like about what they're doing with Blake Monroe?
I'll sneak in my gripe because I like structure and consistency to how things are presented, and maybe you guys can help me out here. Why did the match not happen? Heels attack baby faces all the time before matches. The ref either calls for the bell and rewards the cheating, or backs the heel away, checks with the baby face. Can you go on? And they say yes, inevitably. The bell rings and you have a match. She wasn't disqualified that I saw. The ref didn't have a good reason not to continue with the match. He didn't ask the baby face, Julia, do you want to continue? It was just sort of, well, of course the match won't happen because they fought before the bell.
Yeah, from a shoot standpoint, it didn't happen because they didn't want to job Julia in 30 seconds.
Exactly,
Like, that's
yeah.
why it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that bugged me a lot as well. The music played, and I was like, wait, what?
And who decided to play the music? The ref didn't call for the music.
Right.
If the ref just said, you're suspended, you're suspended this match, or just ask Julia if she's okay, and Julia goes, yes, but she's groggy, and the ref goes, no, she can't go. He won't allow her to go because she's showing that that's not doing a job, but at least then the ref can go ring the bell or the match is off. And then the testator goes, hey, the ref just yelled the match is off. Julia can't continue. Julia's not doing a job, but at least you're not addressing it. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a solution, and I don't see a downside to it unless you don't want to play up concussions, but it doesn't have to be concussion.
And I don't want to talk total downside to this because I thought the production of Blake was positive. Blake is somebody who started in NXT, and her first 2 appearances, I was like, that was okay, but a little on the nose and bland. And then it got so good, so fast. And she also worked in, I don't know if she'll do this on the main roster, but she also worked in this really dark side. They had a very, very high concept, borderline iffy promo where she was giving half the promo as pretty girl Blake and then half the promo as like evil Satan Blake. And it was like the 2 parts didn't know about each other and
severance.
And it was a lot, but I will say that she performed the parts of it well. So like, who knows if they should have asked her to do it, but she's good at doing both parts of that. So she can tap into something different when it's time to tap her into something different. She's so good at being above it all. In that scene with Kathy Kelly, where Kathy just kind of gasses her up and immediately is like, you know what? You're right. I am going to look good no matter what. So she almost seems like she's nice and for just a second, and then she just turns out to be completely narcissistic. So
some chat comments on this, just by the way, I'll read them over quick. Mr. Freshman says, Blake is just not doing it for me. Mariah May and AW is a much better presentation, in my opinion. Did you see enough of her presentation in AW? That was Mariah May? Yeah.
No.
Durrell, you're nodding?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, what do you think of that comment?
They brought her along a little bit better. We got to see her begin the journey and as being somebody who was looking up to Tony Storm, and with the Tony Storm character, it kind of mixed when they showed the dark side. Yeah,
they don't have Tony Storm to tell the slow story.
Right.
Julia's very good in the ring, says Sean Plickta, but they've done nothing with her character at all. Sadler says, I agree with Wade. Why didn't they start the match? When they didn't start the match, I was like, what? Sean also says, yeah, she should have been attacked backstage. Doing it in the ring was weird. The heel Mark says Julia deserves better. Sadler says Blake does seem to be getting crowd reactions, which is surprising because she's only been in front of crowds like once or twice. That's a positive for her. Anyway, so yeah. Sadler says, I think Mariah was overrated in AEW. The Tony feud was great, but other than that, meh. That was almost everything, though, wasn't it? JC Scooby says Blake Monroe is going to be a top woman if they don't let be herself. Not sure if you mean if there's a missing word or what you meant there. Sean says Blake just got to the main roster. I'm going to let it play out. Yeah, okay. Darrell, what else?
I would just say this: if I agree with you, Wade. That's why it makes it so hard to have a heel do that in the story when you allow that to happen all the time. And also, they were trying to protect Julia because what she really should have did was beat her down and to when they had to cart her out or something like that. That would have made it even better because they were trying to get over her ruthless side, and they're already showing the dark side that Kelly was talking about. They haven't really been showing the prissy Miss Nice Girl type of side. So I understand that. So yeah, that could have been better, but I like that. Now, going to Chelsea Green, I'm liking how they building that whole division now around Chelsea, and you can see either you got the people like when Paige came in and was you know, telling her that she inspired her with what she said in the ring and stuff like that. And then you got the vultures circling around because they feel like you weak, you hurt, or you know how they say with animals when the vultures they start seeing when they think you about to die, so they follow you and stuff like that. So you got the vultures around following everybody, saying they want the title. You even had JC James say, "We want that title too." And then you got Naya and Last Legend after it. Again, Blake Monroe said they want it, and everybody see her as weak. And I think you talked about this way. This is a good thing to say with somebody like this. What makes her seem more credible when you got people coming after her and she's not backing down or anything, and she knows that she's weak. She's seen as weak. That's what I like as well, and she's able to get it over because she's been getting everything else over that she's been doing as a character, and you don't see the comedy too much. What did you like about what I just said and how they presented her tonight, even though she came out there for the save and stuff like that?
Kelly.
We talked about Chelsea, and I can't believe that this is the Chelsea we have now. That she's being booked at this level. Her first run in NXT was god awful. Her wrestling was very unsafe, and her mic work was okay, but it was not to the level of what she is now. I knew she was funny. I did not know how funny she was. That has just continued to become more and more a part of what she does. I'm surprised they went all the way to the top of the card with her, but her reactions have been hard to ignore, even when she was supposed to be a heel, even when they paired her with Ethan Page to keep her heel. They were kind of a mixed tag with one babyface and one heel, more or less.
You don't want to be the heel facing Chelsea.
No,
you don't want to be the baby. You don't want to be the baby face facing Chelsea as a heel because the fans are going to be for Chelsea. Yeah, it's a conundrum. You got to just kind of go with what the fans like. Sooner than later. Yeah.
They did the Olympics like Canada versus US match at a PLE, and it was Tyra May Steele, who's not in the company anymore, who was on that babyface side. And every time she hit a move, she got booed because she was wrestling Chelsea Green.
There you go.
So I can't argue with what they're doing with her. It's weird for me as a longtime hater who has come around on her to really be into what's going on. But last week, her convincing Aldis that she feels really strongly about this and she can still be champion, I thought that was interesting. And somebody said in the chat, she's on the clock. She's got 23 days left. So hopefully they remind us of the number of days next week and we hear more of that and it doesn't just go away and she's still
What are the odds? What are the odds they never bring that up again?
No complaints, which is one of the nicest things I've ever said.
That was Derek Mitchell who said the clock is ticking. Sean Plickta says Chelsea's promo last week was very good. Derek Mitchell says Michael Hayes also can't believe this version of Chelsea. He didn't say she should be cut. I think he saw this role for her, perhaps, generously speaking. I don't know. Crofton says, I think in terms of presence and personality, Chelsea is a strata above most other women in the division. She maximizes minutes constantly. Yeah.
She didn't always, but she's doing that now. Absolutely.
Yeah. Jerome, anything else?
That will be it. All I would say is Chelsea. Hey, she's even helping Tiffany Stratton right now, who
I know
just a few months ago we was talking about how she was digressing and stuff like that. So, hey, when you seeing somebody doing character work like that, hey, you got to give them props. And she's a different from somebody who is dominant like Rhea Ripley. So this a different type of champion, different type of stories that you can tell.
No question.
And SmackDown, I'm surprised we getting like 4 different women's stories right now, all together on one show. So
cool. Thanks, Terrell. Kelly, what do you think of Tiffany at this point compared to what you saw of her earlier on? Sean Plickta says, Tiff, please turn heel very soon. They are playing up that they're besties and they're looking out for each other. It worked for, Alexa and Charlotte.
Yeah, but when they do this, usually it means they want to turn one of them heel. They just love their women who can't get along. I think that it shows a commitment to Tiffany, even though they didn't hit the brakes, but they slowed down on her. It just seemed like it was too much too soon, and she just wasn't even. She went from big fish in a small pond to a really small fish, and I think that they were too excited about her too early on. So to see her still be matriculated into something, but not have to do all the heavy lifting because somebody else is in there who does character work 10 times better than Tiffany will ever be able to do, just because that's what Chelsea is. That's what she's for. I think that takes the onus off of her and probably does her a lot of favors to be, for at least in a while, in a support role where she can continue to find her own voice, as Chelsea does the heavy lifting.
Speaking of, when I watch a show that you're on, or when you're going to be co-host, I like, I got to ask Kelly about this. It's, how people from NXT are progressing. Is there anybody else on tonight's show you want to talk about? I would say Baron Corbin goes way back, but he had the interlude there, but maybe even more so Trick Williams and what they're doing with him. Any additional thoughts on them?
Yeah, I'm surprised that Lil Yachty keeps being there, but I dare say they found something somewhat interesting for him to do. I didn't know that I was going to be semi-intrigued by a Baron Corbin Lil Yachty segment, but I just think the fact that it's going to be brief, like they've already told us it's going to be brief, so that I think will work for me, and it'll be super satisfying if Yachty finds a way to run from him just enough, and it will satisfy some people if Corbin just steamrolls him, leading to the Corbin Trick match. I just think Trick, honestly, is being better. He's been better consistently booked on the main roster than he was in NXT. In NXT, he had this weird thing where when he was the top challenger, he was absolutely awesome. He was the center of the show. He was so good at it. He was just awesome. Then when he became champion, it's like the writers were like, let's focus on some other people. And you'd forget that Trick was the champion because they'd barely, he'd be on the show for 30 seconds. They saw money in him as a challenger, as a chaser. And we're kind of seeing that play out now, because he's chasing this championship, wants this back. And I loved the little snarky line about your title's getting a haircut. But yeah, Corbin is somebody that it took me like 10 years to like, but I ended up really liking him in that just kind of mid-card gatekeeper role. Surprised that they just opened up with a championship run. But if he's just here for one last cup of coffee to help Trick get to his next step, because we haven't seen post-champion Trick yet on the main roster, then I think it's all worth it. I really think they're being smart and careful and slow playing him, so when he finally explodes onto the main event scene, it's going to feel well earned.
We got a super chat from Derek. We're almost done here. Derek says, did you know yesterday, August 20th, marked the 5-year anniversary of Punk's return to wrestling with AEW after being fired from WWE in 2014? And who would have thought 5 years later Punk would be WWE champ? Well, we run our 5 years ago shows on our podcast feed, so I'm always in step and being reminded of what happened 5 and 10 and 15 years ago with our flashbacks. 5 years ago, Kelly. How you feeling about Punk?
I think he's doing some fairly inspired stuff, and he's pissing off a lot
He was
being
delightful
so
tonight.
Successful right now. He
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I was down with the heel for one night can come off really bad, but just mocking the fans because he loves hockey so much, and the Leafs haven't won since '67, and then just other little things he did to just kind of honor the role that he was playing for that given night. And
it was different than Seth. It was different than Seth at SNME. Like Seth at MSG just did every heel trope, chicken shit heel, taking bumps, being Punk didn't really change. He just sort of relished the animosity and hostility of the crowd, but he didn't cheat. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he didn't play I mean, there's a little bit of that early just because Kevin got the better of him. But he didn't, like, it wasn't like a different person. It was just the same person, but in a hostile setting. So I mean, Punk has a super high wrestling IQ. I mean, I'm critical of him on a number of things, and and I think fairly. I want to be fair in my criticism, but also, compliment was due. And I mean, he's like super high wrestling IQ and more than Seth Rollins, I would argue, pretty clearly in terms of how he handled the situation. I got a kick out of him putting the lid back on the table and then shaking hands with Joe Tessitore, and Barrett's like, no one's ever done that for us before. So it was fun. But as I compliment Punk's wrestling IQ, when he got back to the ring, I'm like, you've just let your opponent rest a little bit extra because you decided to do something pretty superfluous for comedy, for a haha moment. I wish Kevin Owens was down at ringside and not getting up, and Punk could see that when he did the lid.
Sure.
As opposed to recovering in the ring, so when he gets back in the ring, he's at risk of KO returning. So I just think there should, there's certain signs that should be put up on the back. One of them is lift your shoulders on a kick out. Don't be late for breaking up a pin. That's a big thing for me. And another one should be wrestle like the stakes are high and you want to win. I mean, that should be on everybody's mind unless you're a low-end comedy guy. And Punk's not. So it was funny, but I think they could have tweaked it where Punk looked at the lid, saw Kevin Owens was still down, and kind of assessed, like, okay, I got a second here, I can do this, and then did it rather than just. So anyway, compliment, but with a qualification on it.
Which is kind of the Punk experience. Yeah, there are always little things to nitpick about him, but I think he's doing some relatively inspired work, even compared to his lifelong body of work. I just find it interesting that guys like Punk and Orton are finding new ways to be themselves and more interesting ways to be themselves this late in their career.
Crofton says, I just think he relished being a heel for a night in a way that diminished his feud with KO. It seemed like KO hated him, but that he was just joking around. Was there a little Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan SummerSlam here? Was Punk going, this is a big match for you, KO, but it's not for me, so I'm gonna clown around? I mean, is there a possibility you could imagine KO backstage being, what the F was that? I
didn't take it that way, but I think it's actually interesting that Crofton brought that up.
Yeah.
It's that's not the way that I took it, but I guess I see why he took it that way for sure.
Punk would have plausible deniability unless there was existing heat from behind the scenes when they're planning out the match where there was legit tension. And by the way, Kevin Owens took control and went for a stunner when Punk got back in the ring, so it did cost him. And like, KO was a babyface there. If I'm a babyface, I don't want to make a comeback because the heel was undisciplined and unfocused. I want to make a comeback because I'm tougher. But you're better off doing that than if you're the babyface who's undisciplined, and then the heel takes over. Who wants to cheer for an undisciplined, unfocused babyface? In this case, Punk was, playing the heel role a little bit. But to me, yeah, I mean, I thought I was amused by it, but sometimes I enjoy something, but then I go, but wait, was it the best thing to do? And I think we have to separate those two things, at least from with the microphone in front of me talking about wrestling. I try to separate those two things. Another comment on Punk. Derek Mitchell says, I'm not the biggest Punk fan, but as an older champion, he got a lot of gas in his tank, like Nick Bockwinkel or Harley Race when they were older champions. He's been shaky in the ring at times. I mean, I don't think he doesn't try. But there's a couple kicks to Kevin Owens' gut at ringside looked like they barely touched. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's, he's not the excellence of execution, and not that was ever his thing. I don't know. I mean, Punk got over on more than the top three reason was not how stiff he laid things in. So he's got a little wiggle room there, even as. And
I would also argue that Punk seems to know what he can't do anymore. Mm-hmm. Like he isn't out there screwing things up because he wants to be straight edge society Punk or anything like that.
Yeah. A little bit house showy. Sean Plickta points out, I didn't like both guys trying to get the pin when the referee was knocked out. It's a little old school house showy to ref, get up. And it's like, you know the rest's not there. Why you pretending you're new to this world? That you know where that's the thing. But I mean that is in the realm of nitpicking, because there's some tropes that are natural enough in the heat of the moment that it just, your knowledge as a fan seeing it done doesn't mean it's still not okay to still do it. And I think that probably falls in that category. Kelly, anything else you want to bring up from tonight's show? Because we're gonna just close with a quick call from Heel Mark, who we haven't heard from in a while, but I want to clear the plate
something
first.
Very naughty. That was fun.
What'd he say?
He said MFT, but he came out and said it. And
I did pick up on that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was early, and got a laugh, which I don't know if you want that, but that did indeed happen. Listening to them really go out of their way to praise Talatonga. I get it, because he's much younger. So all these sons of Haku, they are all half siblings. All three of the main ones that WWE fans know about. And Talatonga, who known as Hikuleo in New Japan, was still very much a work in progress when he left New Japan. And everybody was like, why hasn't he debuted yet? And I'm raising my hand saying, I've watched 100 matches of his, and I can tell you why he hasn't debuted yet. So I think he's doing all right, but Tama Tonga is just so much better than he is. But Tama Tonga is way older than he is too. I mean, Tama's probably closer to the end than the beginning by far.
I think Talatonga has kind of the body movement and body confidence and overall traits of a short, skinny, wimpy kid. He just happens to be really tall.
Yes, I said that 1,000 times to guys like Sean and Rich. I was just like, I don't think he knows how to be big.
Yeah,
and that's his situation.
Yeah.
So,
and some people some people aren't sinister. They're not intimidating. Yep. You can be tall, but not sinister and intimidating. And he's neither. Okay, let's. Anything else, Kelly?
I don't know. I don't know. Did I say anything about Hiromu Takahashi?
You did. Yep.
Okay, then I think I'm good.
So if you want to run, because I know you got an early morning, you can. If you want to stick around just for a short call with Mark, you can do that too. Just want to give you the out if you need it.
Mark, how interesting are your questions going to be? I'll hang around.
Okay.
My
Mark,
questions are always interesting, sir.
I love the comment, man. That's awesome.
I didn't plan to go this long, but I didn't
know
plan to do a slideshow of Paul Heyman photos. So I know Kelly's had an early morning in another early morning tomorrow. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
First off, Wade, I know it's been a long time and people have been asking. So if you don't mind, I'd love to give a quick health update if you're okay with it.
Yeah, well, I'm curious too.
So far, with the health update, I have lost dang near 100 pounds. I can sit upright now on the PT table, and I can touch my toes sitting in my wheelchair.
Great.
And they're saying 3 to 4 months I'll be using a sliding board, and once that happens, I'll be back in my hometown. So
okay,
I'm very happy. Things are going very
great.
well.
That is wonderful to hear. I mean, we don't hear from you, we don't know. So I appreciate you checking in. I know people care.
No. I've been working on myself, obviously, as you can tell. So
yeah, good for you.
The first thing I really want to talk about, really briefly, because there's a big thing I really want to talk about. I know you were talking about your favorite match being that new G1. So my favorite match of all time is the wonderful AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe match from 2005. How would you compare it to that match?
Just totally different beasts. I know what
I just had to know.
That's one of the triple threats, not my jam, as I have mentioned, but with three guys that have worked together a lot, all of which know how to really, really play off each other, and all those guys have had hundreds of matches together. That was just a very different beast, with one super strong style guy and two pinball machines at the time. This was the deeply most technical match I've ever seen. And I have seen at least 500 matches that featured Zack Sabre Jr. And Sabre was outside the ring because he's in the faction of the guy who ended up winning the G1.
Mm-hmm.
This was a match that was 35 minutes, 11 seconds long and never went outside to the barricade. It went to the apron for about 5 seconds total. This was entirely about holds, counter holds, long sequences of one guy being in control, and very basic wrestling moves being treated as moves that truly could end a match, like headlocks and wrist locks. It is absolutely beautiful. And there are some people, there are some people who aren't going to be ready for it, or it's just not going to be their thing at all. But Rich, Sean, and I all like it's borderline embarrassing listening to the three of us talk about that match. We really, really gave it shine.
Wow. Well, that was supposed to be my quick question. Thanks.
Sorry, I get into
that was below average for Kelly.
That's true.
So, well,
me.
Kelly, like my friends call me the biggest NXT mark. So now that I know there's going to be a post NXT show, hi.
I do it every week.
So,
he tunes out
first
my
off,
plugs.
what I want to say is like I'm glad the MFTs are like going on and everything, but the one thing I want to talk about is something that wasn't featured on SmackDown tonight. When you have arguably the greatest tag team known as Fraxium, and you're not featuring them at all, what is the problem? Move them to Raw or something. My God. Like, do something. They're like Kelly, you can agree with me. They are probably the best tag team they have on WWE roster.
Yeah, it is a bummer to see them gone. So the NXT tag team match formula is, I think it skews way, way, way too strongly to the everybody be involved every second of the match. Like, might as well just call them all tornado matches. Some weeks, I think they do way
Young
too
Bucks,
much of that.
AEW.
Absolutely. So, NXT is guilty of that on a very, very regular basis. But Fraxium, as well as Fraser and Axiom work, they figured out ways to not be that way. And I also thought one of the best things about their run in NXT is that they constantly accidentally hit each other. And they got pissed at each other, and they didn't break up. And everybody was like, "What's this heading toward?" And I was like, "It might be nothing. And if it is, that's awesome." Because sometimes people just have those kind of relationships.
We had a pre-start truth moment like that. A little tease.
Well, I like how
Mark
worked with.
Mark, hold on a second. I just want to sneak this in because I thought it was, I don't know if it was intentional, but it looked like Damian Priest was going to turn on R-Truth. He was upset with him, and then he helped him up. And he hugged him, and he didn't attack him, and he just left, took a deep breath, and left. And I like that. You don't want every time there's tension for it to be a turn. Maybe what you're describing, Kelly, is over the top, but still, at least they didn't.
Right.
Yeah. All right, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, I really liked how Fraxium worked with, in my opinion, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, MCMG. Like, oh gosh, that match, in my opinion, was a 5-star match, the Fraxium MCMG match. Your favorite tag team's favorite tag team, is Corey gratefully said.
Yep. Yeah, it's I don't know why they're gone, but I've been watching this company since '89 and have watched way more of the stuff. Like, I've watched all the other earlier '80s stuff by this point, and I'm always confounded by how they treat the tag. The tag.
Well,
team
I love tag team tag wrestling. I got into tag wrestling because of the Rockers. The Rockers are my favorite tag team of all time, but it's just, the tag wrestling is just what I really love watching. I don't know why. It's just watching the moves they do together, and it's it's fun. It's just
it does
fun.
not have to be mid card. It just doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
but one of
NWA was selling out doing 6-mans.
Oh
back
yeah.
Yeah, Von
Eric's
and Freebird
Freebirds,
days. Yeah.
Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express wasn't main
Midnight
event, but it
Express.
was not mid card.
I mean, they had whole tournaments like the Crockett Cup. I ate those up like candy when I was young. Yeah, just great stuff.
Yep. Go ahead, Mark.
The last thing I really wanted to bring up,
yeah,
and I know Wade knows this. I am like a huge Bailey fan. I know she's going to AEW, but right behind her is my girl Julia. I've been a huge Julia fan. I got into her when she was still in Stardom in New Japan, all thanks to Will Ospreay. Gotta love Will Ospreay. So anyway, Julia deserves so much better than the treatment she's getting, and just alongside her, so does Jordan Grace. Like I believe, like, we haven't seen Jordan Grace on TV in like 3 months. Like I think both of them should be moved over to Raw too, because like, wouldn't you like to see Julia or Jordan Grace in the mid card versus like Roxanne Perez? That'd be like a great match right there.
Yeah, Julia didn't have a super run in NXT. She was off to a good start, but I was worried for her when Stephanie Becerra showed up at the same time. And I was telling everybody who would listen at the time, I think Becerra is going to end up being a bigger star than Julia. And that doesn't have to matter. They can both be big stars. Julia is still, I mean, English is her third language. Not even her second. It's her third language. She still does it better. Oh yeah, absolutely. But she's fluent in both Japanese and Italian. So I think she's doing what she can with that. I just think whoever's booking her just doesn't get her. As for Jordan Grace, I don't see how you screw her up. Like, she's so powerful and she also has a cool look. But even
she's
in
distinct.
NXT, yeah. And in NXT, she was constantly featured and she lost almost every single feud she was in. At the end, she lost almost every single feud. So I don't know why that happened, but it certainly was not lost on me that she kept losing feuds. And then she went to the main roster and continued that kind of shiftless path. But I thought we'd at least see her on TV.
Mark?
No, that's basically all I really wanted to talk about.
Good.
Like, do you think, like, if Jordan or Julia along with Fraxium moved to Raw, they would probably have a better career right now? Because I think there'd be more opportunities if there was a switch for them.
As long as somebody's committed to them there. But if the company at large does not have that same commitment, then they're going to run into the same issues and hit the same ceilings. But you're right that I think sometimes a change of scenery is a nice start. It's not everything, but it's a nice start.
And as far as talking about change of scenery, a wrestler that's on Raw that I think should be on SmackDown is Joe Hendry. With his gimmick, I think it would fit better on SmackDown.
Heavy on the stories and things like that, and more.
Yeah, I just think the gimmick would fit better there.
Yeah, Wade and I have talked about.
That's all I really wanted to talk about. You know,
thanks, Mark.
Wade, keep up all your good work. You know, Kelly, I'll see you Tuesday.
Cool,
awesome.
I'll see you then.
All right,
thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for checking in.
Thanks for taking my call.
For sure. Take care, Kelly. Yeah, you were gonna say.
I believe I've forgotten.
It's late. Oh, Joe Hendry.
Oh yeah, I was just going to mention, we talked about him. We thought there's possibly a hard cap on what that character really can be. And we weren't against him being rostered, but neither of us see him as like a top shelf player.
I'm not spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to make him work. I mean, two closing questions, not related. One, not even pro wrestling, but Ilya Dragunov. Your thoughts on him reportedly out of WWE, probably headed to AEW. How do you feel about him and that?
I really loved Dragunov's NXT run. Like, I really loved it. And this extended absence did worry me, but still, for it to be dropped in the middle of no other releases is just not something we see a whole lot in this day and age. Usually when somebody's let go, it's part of a spring cleaning or whatever. I like Dragunov a lot, but and I saw people saying, well, if the algorithm said he wasn't getting over, then he wasn't getting over. And that's a cold way to do business, but I don't know. I don't know if they committed to him in a sustained enough way. I feel like there was something left on the table. I worry that, I mean, everybody says he's a better fit for AEW, but how are you a better fit when you are another fork in a pile of 25 forks? And
that's my case about Ricochet.
Leaving a company that has spoons and knives, and I just think that there's more opportunity for a lot of those guys in AEW that wrestle similarly and are in a situation where they're not getting booked in WWE. But all of that is to say nothing about how much money was offered to him. So if he was seriously lowballed, then you got to walk, even if you might be in the right place.
Finally, Timberwolves, new owner, surprising, shocking headlines today. They sold they kind of, I mean, he was a minority owner, became a majority owner, and so it's not like the two guys who were there, Mark Lowry and A-Rod are still part of the team. But yeah, that was like, what? They got sold? And then the more I read and listened to people talk about it, I'm like, okay, it's probably not a big deal. It seems like
no, it doesn't seem like one. Yeah,
owner has a nice background. Came first kid in his family to go to college, and wrote a speech for Al Gore, something like that, and committed or donated to Kamala Harris's campaign. It's the opposite of what the Lakers are going through with Trump's son-in-law buying the Lakers and people going on Clippers fans now. So yeah, but I don't know a lot otherwise. So I don't think it's going to affect a ton. Hopefully, we're not blindsided by that. But what about? You can talk about that.
I definitely pulled up the news story because I was like, okay, is he at least saying, hey, I'm committed to Minnesota? And he is. So that's enough for me. I know a lot of that stuff is just going to be the stuff you have to say. But regardless, he is saying.
Yeah, imagine he said, I'm not so sure.
Long term,
I'm less
I
committed
can see
than
just
A-Rod
damn
and
near
Mark.
anywhere. Saudi Arabia Timberwolves. But it's weird that this shift away from Taylor and to Lore took so long. I finally felt like, wow, I really know who this guy is. And then he's like, oh, he's leaving to focus on this new startup. And I was like, oh, maybe his level of commitment was never what we thought it was. And A-Rod's buying a larger percentage of the team also. So, And as far as on the court, LaMelo's an enigma, so
I'm excited. I think it's gonna unleash a different Anthony Edwards.
That's the whole reason to pick up LaMelo in the first place.
Yeah.
So
and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be different. It could blow up, but it probably won't. I mean, smart money is on. This is gonna be a 54-55 win team. That's a threat in the playoffs with home court advantage if everybody stays healthy. And you know the kind of knee-jerk low information voter type thing on LaMelo is he can't stay healthy, but it's like when you look at what the injuries were and the fact that he was intentionally sat out for like half a season in order to get a draft pick, there's just there's surface level knowledge, and then there's people who actually dig deep into this. And watch, he'll get injured in game 3 and I'll be like, but even that would be a coincidence, not a beta comp play. But sometimes people get injured, sometimes they don't, but I'm not worried about that. So but it'll be fun. I mean, we built a team to beat Denver, and now we're building a team to compete with the Spurs and
Oklahoma City.
Yep. And that's smart. Yeah. Sadler says LaMelo barely plays. That's a problem. He's so injury prone. No, those are two headlines that are not holding up to scrutiny when you actually dig deep. Sadler. Charlotte played him 28 minutes per game last year because of it. I'm not saying there's nothing. To be fair, I'm not saying there's nothing to it. It's just it's not this inevitable thing. And they did. My understanding is they sat him when he was healthy because they didn't want to win. They realized season was over. I don't know about, the 28 minutes per game thing, Kelly. I'm trying to remember some of the game management, because was it the ankle that they were still worried about?
I think it was the ankle last year.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's going to be. Sadler says I am a pessimist when it comes to LaMelo.
It's easy to be. I mean, the Ball family they come with caveats and questions.
What about Mr. Freshman? I think it's going to be a disaster. LaMelo's not a serious player, but I believe he's cancerous, but I hope I'm wrong.
I've heard a lot of great guys were going to be, or great players were going to be cancers when they went to teams and then they won championships, because it doesn't matter if you're a cancer. Like it's good talk radio.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily.
And he's going from a not serious organization to a serious organization with one of the top 3-4 GMs in the league, a established coach with a winning record in the playoffs, been to the conference finals 2 out of 3 years, took the Spurs to 6, one of the top 4, 5, 6 players in the league, and Anthony Edwards with a great defender and a great small forward and center defender. I mean, this is like, if you weren't serious, it's like, oh, this is my window to be serious and win a title. I mean, and it sounds like they get along great, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Kelly. Get some.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Go check out Kelly on Tuesday nights live on our YouTube channel, and then on the PWTorch Daily Cast, the PWT Talks NXT post show right here on the PWTorch YouTube channel. Go VIP if you haven't yet. PWTorch VIP info.com. PWTorch VIP info.com for full details on VIP benefits and all the different ways to sign up on all the different platforms. Would love to have you as a member. Support us, get a lot in return. That's PWTorch VIP info.com. We will talk to you all next time. If you haven't yet, check out the Blue Logo Show flagship episode with Zach Cadorn from earlier in the week, and we'll talk to you all next time.